Good morning. So we have here the lesson 4, which is all about the rationalizing the message. So in here, in this topic, we have the objectives, which will you learn at the end of the lesson. So just read the 8 objectives. And then for that one, we have here the messages. So messages is denotatively defined are pieces of information sent or given to someone. So messages is one of the most important components of communication, for it refers to ideas, feelings, thoughts, or information that people send and receive when they communicate with their audience. Okay, so we have under messages, we have components, or we have 3 variables. The first one is the content. So content may be classified as referential and relational. So what is the difference between these two? So the first one is the referential. So when we say referential, so that is the ideas contained in the message, or the ideas the speaker says as it thinks about something. Okay, so when the speaker share his or her ideas, okay, in this type of content, which is a referential, so the speaker says as he thinks about something. Okay, so what you think is what you say from the word, okay, or from the root word reference. And for the second one, we have here the relational content. So what is relational content? So when the speaker's ideas or messages insinuate that there is a relationship between him and his listener, so that's what we call or that is considered as our relational content. So the typical example of relational content is, for example, when the speaker talks to someone and he mentions his name and hints at his familiarity with him in his talk. For example, you have a friend and then you tell a story about your friend with your other friend. And when you think about your friend, so you mention his name, of course, and you give hints and the familiarity about the friend you're talking about. Okay, so that is the best example for the relational. So in other words, you have the connection, or you have the relationship with you, yourself, and the one you're talking about. Or you can also have this relationship with your listener, because maybe they can relate with what you're talking about. So that is all about the relational content. So let's move on to the structure. So when we say structure, that is much needed, that the speaker guides or directs his listeners to the topics or arguments that he intends to bring to discuss with them. So this structure is achieving clarity of the message or information shared is deemed important. So in this structure, you can have, or you can use basic numeric form. For example, to wait first, second, next, finally. Or you can educate as a full outline with points and sub-points. So sa structure class, pwede kang gumamit dito. For example, in written form, you will write an essay. So, di ba, pwede mo siyang lagyan mo siyang first for your first paragraph, and then secondly or second, next, finally. So usually we are doing that one in an essay. Or you can have your outline with key points or sub-points, diba? So pwede mo siyang lagyan ng ganun para mas clear for your readers. Pag spoken naman, or verbal, so you can also use that technique or strategies. So it depends on your the way of showing the structure in a simpler way. Okay, so let's move on with the style. Style is referred to the careful manner of gathering and arranging the words to express the speaker's message, which someone show or which somehow reveals what kind of person he is when speaking. So, ano ba tong style? Okay, so this style can be personal or impersonal. Pwede rin siyang literal or ironic, plain or elevated, philosophical or poetic. So, the use of variation in the sentence structures determines the speaker's style in expressing his spoken message. So, di ba kasi class, if we are having this spoken or speaking style, di ba meron tayong kanya-kanyang speaking style. So, dito makikita kung anong style or what kind of person are we. The way we speak. Okay? So, may mga tao kasi na panagsalita sila parang they are mostly using what do you call that? They are using idiomatic expression. Yung mahirap siya intindihin, di ba? Yung iba naman straight to the point. Yung iba naman is normal lang. Okay? So, yung mga binigay ko yung example, so yun. So, ang kaibahan lang naman yun is yung malalim kung magsalita or kung maririnig mo siya magsalita or magsulat, kasi pwede rin siya in written or in spoken, diba, language. So, in written, mababasa mo yung book niya, kunyari, author siya. So, ano siya, not easily understood, diba, if you will read that book. And also, the way he speaks, hindi mo rin agad maintindihan kasi nga ano siya, malalim yung mga words na ginagamit niya. Pero may mga ibang tao rin na normal lang, 'di ba, yung kung ano lang yung gusto niya sabihin, so direct to the point lang siya. No need to state in more complex words or meaning. Okay? So may mga ganun. So that is all about the style. So next, so we have here the purposes of the message. So ano ba tong purposes or the kinds of purposes of the message. So we have here the first one, which is the informative messages. So informative messages refer to the pieces of information shared with someone for the purpose of communicating different forms of routine, repeated daily tasks, instructions, symbols, codes, and procedures, and the like. So from the word inform, you're informing. You're giving information to someone you're talking to or to someone reading your book or the one you are writing, kung anong mang klase ng pagsulat yan. Okay. So, these informative messages should be very clear, direct, and easy to understand. Diba? Kasi nga you are informing someone. So, for example, some example for this one is the personal officer of the company providing the newly hired employees about their job functions during the orientation seminar. So, yun, pwede siyang sa work-related. For example, yung personal officer is magbibigay ng mga job functions sa mga newly hired employees, diba? Via orientation seminar. So, pwede rin sa student publication advisor, diba? Dinidiscuss yung principles of responsible journalism and the constitutional bylaws of the organization to the newly accepted student writers. So, kayo din, di ba, during your first enroll here in Fulbright College, so meron kayong orientation kung ano yung mga dapat gawin. Kasi nga, you're first year, so you need to be informed of the rules and regulation of the school. So, another example, the school director explaining to the teaching staff the directions of the university towards attainment of its vision and mission, and others are the basic example of. So, yun yung mga example ng informative messages. So, let's move on with the next one, which is the persuasive messages. So, sa persuasive messages class, we have here, or we'll discuss about this one. So, persuasive messages occurs when a person tries to influence an individual or a group to take certain detailed actions. So, persuasive message tackles and solves any doubts and objections. So, some example for persuasive, diba, if we are persuading someone, diba, hinihikayat natin sila, or we are influencing them. Okay, so some example for this one is, for example, the company's manager, diba? So, meron siyang employee na gusto na mag-resign. So, ang ginawa ng company's manager, ng company, di ba? Pinersuade niya yung employee na yun. So, anong ginawa niya? Kinausap niya. So, sinabihan niya na kailangan niya kausapin yung employee na yun through having lunch, di ba? And then, dalawa lang sila sa pinuntahan nila. Maybe that is in a restaurant. So, nag-usap sila doon, pinaliwanag ng manager yung advantages of staying for good in the company. So, maybe, nag-offer ng malaki yung manager na tataasan yung sweldo niya. Diba? So, that is a technique of persuasion used by the manager para hindi mag-resign yung employee. So, siguro yung employee na yun is magaling, kaya ayaw nilang pakawalan at makakatulong ng malaki sa company. So actually class, I also experienced the same. So when I was working in Petron, diba, gasoline station, before I am a cashier, and then my boss offered me a higher salary. Sabi niya, tataasan niya yung sweldo ko. Gagawin niya, kasi dati minimum pa, mababa pa, diba? So that time, my salary is ranging 320, parang ganon, 320. And then, sabi niya, gagawin niya 500 kung papayag ako na lumipat ako sa isang branch niya, yung main branch, which is in Rizal. Yung papuntang Bangkaw, itong gasoline station dyan, yung Petron. Ito malapit lang din sa Fulbright, Bangkaw. So, doon. Then, tumanggi ako kasi that time, I am already planning na ako to resign kasi nga malilipat na kami ng bahay and malayo na siya sa trabaho ko, kaya another reason is wala magbabantay ng anak ko. So, yun po. Kaya hindi ko tinanggap yung offer ng boss ko that time. Pero kung hindi sana kami lumipat, tatanggapin ko yun syempre. Pero kasi iba-iba ng sitwasyon. Okay, number 3, goodwill messages. So, these goodwill messages used to demonstrate a sense of kind-heartedness, benevolence, and responsiveness. Okay, so itong mga goodwill messages class, ito yung mga message of appreciation, congratulations, or positive feedback. Diba? So, yun yung mga example for this one. So a goodwill message should have a you attitude with a pleasing introduction and use the words I or we to begin the conversation. So ito po yung goodwill messages. Let's move on to the way to convey your messages more clearly. So we have four messages that we need to explain or provide. So number one, so we need to provide an example. Of course, when explaining or discussing ideas to your listeners, you should provide them sensible examples, diba? Kasi it is much easier to understand the idea shared if there is an examples given. So number two, refer to the source. So ano ba tong ibig sabihin nito? So if you are discussing topics, diba, taken from different chapters of the reading materials or even articles, journal papers, or videos, so mas better kung mag-provide kayo ng sources sa mga listeners nyo para ma-analyze din nila yung mga sinasabi nyo. And that will guarantees that you are on the same page. 'Di ba? Para naka-follow sila sa mga sinasabi mo. So, may kopya ka, may kopya rin sila. Okay? Para if ever na may katanungan sila, so madali lang nila makikita or mariretain sa utak nila yung mga sinasabi mo kasi dalawa yung nakapaloob doon, visual and 'di ba, oral, hearing and seeing. Yung naririnig ka nila tapos may hawak pa silang kopya, 'di ba? Kahit na sabihin natin, for example, wala kang PowerPoint presentation or wala kang visual aids. So better to give your audiences a copy of the one you are discussing. So that is all about the refer to the source. And then number three, recheck for understanding. So if you want to be sure that your listeners understand what you're talking about, so ask them to explain the thought back to you for the purpose of clarification. Diba? So magka-clarify ka, tanongin mo sila kung may clarifications ba sila sa in-explain mo. Diba? Tapos kung may clarification sila, then you need to answer that one. So kaya we will have this ask for feedback kasi may clarification na, 'di ba? For example, may clarifications na. So, doon na yung feedback doon. That will be followed by feedback. So, after you clarify something, for example, may nagtanong for clarifications, 'di ba? So, tatanungin mo yung mga audiences mo kung ano ba yung reaction nila with the one that you discuss or you explain to them, diba? So yung responses is already a feedback. Kung may response sila, so may feedback doon. Meaning, kung may feedback, so naintindihan nila yung mga dinidiscuss mo. Okay, next, identifying the target audience. So we have two types of this target audience. The first one is the primary target audience. So this refers to the group of communicator is objectively trying to convince. So from the word primary. So ano ba yung primary target audience? So for you to understand better this one, magbibigay ako ng example. For example, you are having this seminar. So, ikaw yung speaker. And then, your topic is all about the sex education. Of course, yung mga primary target mo doon is yung mga youth, di ba? Yung kabataan. So, sila yung, of course, yung imbitahan mo sa seminar na ikaw yung mag-facilitate or ikaw yung speaker. Yung secondary target audience naman, di ba? Secondary. So, includes people or groups who are less important and relevant to the communication efforts but who need to be given the opportunity to receive the message. So, ito naman yung mga secondary target mo naman, class. Ito yung mga less important or relevant to the communication efforts kasi hindi naman talaga sila yung target mo. Pero kailangan pa rin nilang mabigyan ng pagkakataon na matanggap yung messages mo. So, for example, I will just continue to the one that I've given you. The example, di ba, yung sa seminar. So, yung primary target audience mo doon is yung mga youth or yung kabataan. So, maybe, the secondary target audience there is the parents, di ba? Kasi, if they hear your thoughts or your discussion, so, pwede rin nilang ituro yun sa anak nila for follow-up, di ba? So, they need also to hear that one para at least maliwanagan din sila na kailangan din nila i-guide yung anak nila. Especially ngayon, talamak na yung pregnancy, 'di ba, sa mga kabataan at young age. Okay. Okay, next. So we have here the other ways of presenting the message. So the first one is the print class. So pag sinabi natin print, yung mga examples nito is like yung mga brochures, flyers, ads, catalogs, reports, memos, or letters. So usually class, itong mga print na to ay kailangan pa rin sa panahon natin ngayon. For example, there is an election coming. O, diba? Merong election. So, yung iba, hindi lang sila nagde-depend doon sa social media. Bakit kaya? Yung iba, they are still printing tarpaulin or even flyers, diba? Kasi, meron kasi mga senior citizen na they are not used to social media. Sila marunong. So, mas maganda pa rin yung meron kang second option. So, mas marami, mas better. So, yung mga printed na yan, like tarpaulin during the election. So, for example, yung senior citizen is naglalakad, nakita niya yung tarpaulin ng kandidato. So, dagdag pa yun, boto pa yun, di ba? Okay. Yung mga printed class, importante rin to during the discussion. Kasi, yung speaker between the listener, pag meron silang parehong kopya, actually, nabanggit ko na to kanina. So, mas madali yung discussion at mas maintindihan ng listeners. Okay. So, sa face-to-face naman, of course, the one that you are doing in the class, diba? Meron tayong face-to-face classes. So, these face-to-face meetings or doings will allow you to get more personal and peculiar intimacy with the target audience for you to easily access the body language of your listeners. And also, you can demonstrate what you are presenting and you can use visual aids. So, maganda tong face-to-face class kasi makikita mo agad yung mga audience mo kung nakikinig ba or naintindihan nila yung mga sinasabi mo. Ano yung mga body language nila. Diba? Pwede kang gumamit ng visual aids dito. So, pwede kang gumamit ng PowerPoint or pwede ka rin gumamit ng visual aids like you're writing it in a Manila paper or in white cartolina. So, it all depends sa paano nyo. So, in face-to-face, feedback is readily available after the face-to-face meeting. So, matatanong mo agad or matatanong agad ng listeners kung may some clarification siya. Diba? Madali lang yung communication dito sa face-to-face. Sa teleconference naman, diba? Yung teleconference is widely used during the pandemic. Bakit? Kasi diba nung nag-pandemic, bawal lumabas. So, it is advisable to use this one, especially if you are having a big number of participants. For example, may seminar, diba? So, ang participants mo is 100 plus. So, hindi mo siya ma-accommodate, especially bawal yun during the pandemic. Kahit walang pandemic, mahirap i-accommodate yun kasi hahanap ka ng malaking space. Diba? So, malaking space, malaking bayad. Mas makakatipid ka dito sa teleconference kasi ang kailangan mo lang dito is internet and devices like laptop or even cell phones can also be used here. So, yung time mo dito, class, ma-minimize din yung time mo. Diba? Hindi mo na kailangan i-sacrifice yung time mo and effort. Kasi, internet and device lang, pwede na. Makaka-attend ka na ng seminar. via online. So the best example for this one is the Google Meet. So yung Google Meet, usually ginagamit siya for educational. Yung Zoom naman for business purposes. So malaki rin ang sakop ng Zoom, kaya lang pag 100 plus na ata may bayad na. So yung pinakamagandang gamitin yung Skype kasi para rin siyang Zoom pero wala siyang bayad, libre. O 'di ba? Doon ka na lang sa libre. Okay, next, visual aids. So itong visual aids class, so ito yung mga that you are standing in front of the group and speaking for long periods while holding notes in your hand. And you can become monotonous. Bakit monotonous? Kasi ikaw lang yung nagsasalita, ikaw yung papaliwanag sa harap. 'Di ba? So the best example for this one is the teacher between the students. Or yung reporters between the listeners or yung classmates niya tsaka yung teacher. Dapat may visual aids ka dito, of course, kasi dapat nakikita nila yung mga sinasabi mo, nakakasunod sila. You can also use PowerPoint kung ayaw mo gumamit ng Manila paper or something there in the blackboard, 'di ba? Or in front. So, marami ng paraan ngayon para gamitin ito.